She sat in the interrogation room for 3 hours, hands folded, saying nothing. The officers joked about the harmless old lady they'd picked up. Then she leaned forward, whispered 6 words into the microphone, and suddenly every phone in the building started ringing. Welcome to Human Stories. Before we begin this powerful story, tell us in the comments which city you're watching from today, and if you believe stories like this deserve to be told, hit that subscribe button. The interrogation room on the 3rd floor of Detroit Police Headquarters was too big for most days. Gray walls, metal table, 2 chairs, and the security camera in the corner. The clock showed 2:47 p.m., and Detective Marcus Chen thought this would be the easiest interrogation of his career. The woman appeared to be in her mid-60s, gray hair pulled back in a simple bun, wearing a plain cardigan, and comfortable but clean shoes. There were no signs of injury on her hands, her makeup-free face calm and far more composed than expected. Victoria Elizabeth Sterling, according to her ID. She lived in a small house near Detroit, retired, receiving Social Security benefits. Chen dropped the file on the table and sat across from her. "Ms. Sterling, you know why we're here." The woman nodded silently but didn't speak. "During this morning's robbery at First National Bank downtown, you were found near the scene. We need to take your statement as a witness." No response. Chen was starting to get impatient. He was 32, known for quick breakthroughs since police academy, but he always struggled with elderly women. They reminded him of his grandmother. "Miss Sterling, if you answer the questions, you can leave here quickly. Your family must be worried." She spoke for the first time. "I don't have family." Her voice was much clearer and calmer than expected. Chen thought this was a good sign. "Okay, where were you around 9:30 this morning?" "I was at the cafe across from the bank, drinking coffee." "What did you see during the robbery?" "2 people entered the bank. They ran out a few minutes later." Chen started taking notes. It seemed like a standard witness statement. "Can you describe these people?" "One was tall, wearing a black jacket. The other was shorter, wearing a blue baseball cap." "Did you see their faces?" "No." "Did you see any weapons?" "I heard gunfire." Chen stopped. The report didn't mention gunfire. "Are you sure?" "You heard gunfire." Victoria looked at him silently. There was something in her eyes, an assessing look, as if she was measuring Chen, testing him. "Are you certain?" Chen repeated. 9mm pistol, probably a Glock 17. Single shot, warning shot, not intended to injure. Chen dropped his pen. "That's very specific information, Ms. Sterling. How do you know that?" The sound was familiar. The door opened and Chen's partner, Detective Sarah Williams, entered. She was 35, a detective with 10 years' experience, and she smiled slightly when she saw Victoria. "Hello, ma'am. Detective Williams. I hope my partner isn't being too hard on you." Chen shot Williams a slight look. He didn't like interruptions during witness interviews. "Ms. Sterling has been very helpful," Chen said. "She seems quite certain about the gunfire." Williams leaned against the table, looking at Victoria in a friendly manner. "Do you have military family? Father, husband maybe?" "I did," Victoria said simply. "Which unit?" This time Victoria didn't answer. She clasped her hands slightly tighter on the table. Williams continued. "Look, nobody here wants to cause problems. We just want to learn what you saw. The bank employees are in shock. The security camera footage isn't clear. Your testimony is very important. I've told you what I can tell you." Chen looked at the file again. "Ms. Sterling, the report says you remained near the scene for about 45 minutes after the incident. Why?" "I waited for the police to arrive." "Why?" For the first time, there was a slight change in Victoria's expression. Very small, but it was there. "It was the right thing to do." Williams looked at Chen. They were both thinking the same thing. This woman wasn't an ordinary witness. "Miss Sterling," Williams said, changing her tone. "When we ran your ID check, we noticed something interesting. You have tax records for the last 5 years, but before that, it's like you didn't exist." Victoria's posture didn't change, but her eyes became slightly more alert. Chen leaned forward. "Also, our age calculation doesn't add up. Your ID shows birth year 1958, but Social Security records have different information. Records can sometimes get mixed up," Victoria said calmly. "Or someone changed their identity," Williams added. "Witness protection program. New identity. These things happen." Victoria said nothing. Chen touched the file on the table. "We made another phone call. The bank security chief watched you on security cameras after the robbery. According to him, you were too calm. In fact, professional. Elderly people don't panic." "No," Williams said. "But during the robbery, you scanned the area. You checked exit routes. You tried to predict the robber's escape route. That's not ordinary behavior." Victoria listened to them silently. Chen's phone rang, interrupting the conversation. "Chen, yes, what? Are you sure? Okay, I'm coming." He hung up and looked at Williams. "Miss Sterling, could you wait here for a moment? We'll be right back." After they went outside, they started whispering in the corridor. "What happened?" Williams asked. Lab results came in. One of the footprints found at the bank belongs to our witness. But here's the weird part. The footprint analysis shows this woman has had professional tactical training. Stride length, weight distribution, ground contact pattern. Williams frowned. What does that mean? This woman has had military training, not just basic training, advanced tactical training. When they returned inside, Victoria was sitting in the same position, as if she hadn't moved at all. Miss Sterling, Chen said, this time in a much more serious tone. I'm going to ask you directly. Do you have military background? Yes. Which unit? I served in the Army. For how long? 25 years. Williams was surprised. 25 years. What rank did you reach? Colonel. Chen leaned back. If this woman was a retired colonel, why was she using such an ordinary identity? Which unit did you serve in? Victoria fell silent. Colonel Sterling, I'm sure you heard our question. I did. You didn't answer. Because that information is classified. Williams leaned forward. Ma'am, we're conducting a simple witness interview here. Nobody's trying to learn military secrets. My past doesn't affect my witness statement. Chen was getting impatient. It might, because you're not an ordinary witness. You have professional training, you recognize weapons, you have tactical knowledge. In this case, your statement is much more valuable. I've told you what I can tell you. It's not enough. Victoria looked directly into Chen's eyes for the first time. In that look, Chen saw something he'd never seen before. Cold, calculating, and dangerous. For a moment, he thought this elderly woman could tear him apart. Williams tried to smooth things over. Colonel, nobody's trying to disrespect you. We just need your help. Respect, Victoria said slowly, is earned, not given. Chen slammed the table. Look, ma'am, this isn't about respect. This is about justice. Two people robbed a bank, pointed a gun at the cashier. You're the only witness, and you're not telling us the whole truth. I told you the whole truth. No, you didn't. Why did you wait 45 minutes after the robbery? An ordinary person would leave the scene. Victoria remained silent. Williams stepped in. Colonel, maybe I can ask differently. Did this robbery seem familiar to you? Have you seen something similar before? There was a small change in Victoria's face. Very slight, but it was there. Yes. Where? I can't tell you that. Chen stood up. Enough. This is interrogation, not cooperation. Either you talk or we'll subpoena you as an official witness. Victoria slowly stood up, despite being 65. Her posture was perfect, military bearing. She was only a few inches shorter than Chen, but somehow appeared taller. Detective Chen, Victoria said in a calm but ice-cold voice. You're trying to threaten me. I don't. Be quiet. Victoria's voice had changed. She no longer sounded like an elderly woman, but like an officer giving orders. For the last 30 minutes, you've been disrespecting me, questioning my past, accusing me of refusing to cooperate. Chen stepped back. Let me tell you something, young man. Before you were born, I was doing things you couldn't do now. I served in places where you'd start to be afraid. Williams tried to intervene. Colonel, let's calm down. Victoria turned to Williams. Detective Williams, your partner doesn't know who I am, but you're about to find out. Victoria leaned over the table, approached the microphone, and said 6 words in a very low voice. Operation Ghost Valley, Command Alpha 7. There was complete silence in the room for seconds. Then, as if from everywhere in the building at once, phones started ringing. First Chen's desk phone, then William's cell phone, then the internal lines in the corridor. Victoria sat back down, folded her hands again, as if nothing had happened. Chen and Williams exchanged bewildered looks. What did those words mean? And why was every phone ringing? Williams looked at her cell phone. This calling number, Federal, FBI. Chen's desk phone was ringing. He picked up the receiver. Detective Chen, yes? What? Yes, she's here. No, not yet. Okay, I understand. His face had gone pale as he hung up. Sarah, we need to go outside. Now. Williams nodded and looked at Victoria. Colonel, let's talk outside, Chen said firmly. After they went into the corridor, Chen grabbed Williams' arm. Sarah, FBI is on the way. They'll be here in 10 minutes. And it's not just FBI. Someone from the Pentagon is coming too. What does this mean? I don't know, but that woman knows exactly what those words mean. And apparently, she's talking about a very high-level classified operation. Williams looked at the interrogation room door. Marcus, who is that woman? I don't know, but we don't have clearance to find out at our level. 10 minutes later, 3 black SUVs pulled up in front of Detroit Police Headquarters. The men getting out of the vehicles wore suits, sunglasses, and looked very serious. Among them was a woman in military uniform, wearing colonel rank insignia on her shoulders. FBI agent Mitchell Taylor climbed to the 3rd floor of the police station, where Chen and Williams were waiting for him. I'm Agent Taylor. Where is Victoria Sterling? Chen pointed to the interrogation room. Inside, but we want an explanation. Who is this woman? The answer to that question exceeds your clearance level, Detective. The woman in military uniform stepped forward. I'm Colonel Rebecca Harrison. Are you the detectives who spoke with Victoria Sterling? Yes, Williams said. Who is she? Retired Colonel Victoria Sterling was was the former commander of one of Delta Force's most classified units. She spent the last 20 years in covert operation. The operation she named is at the highest classification level for national security. Chen couldn't believe it. That elderly woman was a Delta Force commander. That elderly woman, Colonel Harrison said sternly, fought America's most dangerous enemies throughout her career. Operation Ghost Valley was a mission conducted in the Middle East that officially never existed. Agent Taylor added, Colonel Sterling was the commander of that operation. Her team was a 12-person Special Forces unit that undertook the most dangerous mission. Why is she here now? Williams asked. Because, Colonel Harrison said, the tactics and timing used in this morning's bank robbery are identical to the enemy tactics she encountered in Operation Ghost Valley. Chen's mouth fell open. So she... Yes, Colonel Sterling knows who's behind this robbery, and probably this isn't a random bank robbery. Agent Taylor opened the interrogation room door. Victoria was sitting in the same position, as if nothing had happened. Colonel Sterling, Harrison said, entering. We need to talk to you. Victoria looked up, and when she saw Colonel Harrison, a small smile appeared on her face for the first time. Colonel Harrison, it's been a long time. Indeed it has. Colonel, what you saw this morning, is it related to Ghost Valley? Yes. Same movement pattern, same timing, same team size. Vasquez's men? Victoria nodded. Former team members connected to him. The cell we encountered in Ghost Valley. Is this cell still active? We thought they had disbanded after Ghost Valley, but apparently they've reorganized. Colonel Harrison leaned on the table. Victoria, this is very serious. If they're back, I know. This isn't just a bank robbery. They're trying to finance something. Chen and Williams stood by the door, listening to this conversation in amazement. Williams whispered, Marcus, it's like we're inside an action movie. Agent Taylor turned to Victoria. Colonel, can you help us with this operation? Victoria stood up. Her posture had completely changed. She was no longer an elderly witness, but an experienced military commander. Agent Taylor, I retired 3 years ago, but if these men have resurfaced, we have unfinished business. Colonel Harrison smiled. Do you miss your team, Victoria? Every day. Chen couldn't stand it and interrupted. Excuse me, but a minute ago we were interrogating you. Now we're learning you're some kind of super secret agent. Victoria looked at Chen, but this time there was understanding in her eyes, not anger. Detective Chen, sometimes the best secrecy is appearing ordinary. I spent the last 3 years very quietly because my past had to stay behind. But today, the past found me. Williams stepped forward. Colonel, we want to apologize. We didn't know. Detective Williams, you didn't need to know. And don't apologize. You were doing your job. Agent Taylor wrapped up the conversation. All right, Colonel Sterling, do you agree to be involved in this operation? Victoria looked out the window, watching Detroit's noisy traffic outside. She had loved this quiet life for 3 years. But today, it was time to be back on duty. I accept, but I have one condition. What is it? Detective Chen and Williams should also be part of the team. They've been following this case from the beginning, and they were honest with me. Chen was surprised. Us? But you just did your job. And right now, we all need to work together to protect this city. Colonel Harrison looked at Agent Taylor, who also nodded. All right, welcome to the operation. Victoria picked up her purse from the table. She was no longer an ordinary elderly woman, but one of Delta Force's most effective commanders. Well, gentlemen, ladies, Victoria said, walking toward the door. Let's get to work. This man will be caught, and this time, we'll finish the job. Chen looked at Williams. Sarah, I think our normal police day is over. Williams smiled. Marcus, I think it's just begun. And so, Detroit's most ordinary-looking resident returned as the commander of America's most secret operation.